Hello everyone and welcome back to a best-of-3 series of professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Zerg versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Berlingrad. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner of the map, playing with the blue Protoss probes from South Korea, we have Zest. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the red Zerg drones from Poland, we are looking at none other than Elazer's main hatchery. Alrighty, now I'm excited because this is the very first series from a tournament called DreamHack Last Chance that I'll be casting, but I've got a lot of other games that I want to go ahead and check out over the next couple of weeks. In case you're unfamiliar, it's a premiere event that literally wrapped up, if you're watching this video at the very least, on the day that it goes up. The tournament literally wrapped up like 24 hours ago by the time that this video goes live, and they've already dropped the replay pack, which is amazing. It's an event where all of the big names played, so I'll try my very best to bring you all of the best games from this tournament over the next couple of weeks. That being said, I kind of hate it when YouTubers do it, but I'm gonna do it myself anyways. A little bit hypocritical. That being said, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified when those videos go up. I just had a quick little look at my YouTube analytics, and it turns out like only half of you or so are subscribed right now, which is a little bit silly, okay? Because I could be very close to getting my like 1 million subscriber plaque. You know that thing that YouTube sends out when you reach 1 million subscribers? No, I don't really care too much about that. But if you enjoy watching my videos and you would like to see more of them as well, feel free to subscribe. Completely optional, obviously. You don't have to. You can always unsub as well. No hard feelings, but we'll see if this has any effect. Apparently, it's a YouTube best practice to, like, absolutely smother your viewers every single video that you upload with subscriber reminders. I hate that. I'm not going to do that, but at the very least, go check it out if you really, if you really want to. It's right below the video. If you're watching this on desktop. Where is it on mobile? I guess you gotta get out of full screen. Anyways, I mean, me getting 1 million subscriber plaque is definitely the most important thing, right? That's the reason why you would want to subscribe. Please stroke my ego, guys. Anyway, no, I'm just joking. Anyways, what do we have here? So we've got Elazer going for his third base first because of a very quick probe scout from our Protoss player. And then Zest at the same time is sending out a probe towards the bottom left-hand corner to build a pylon. That's the second pylon. I guess he's saving up gas right now to go for a Stargate. That's the only thing that really makes sense. We're at 150 right now. There it is. Zest indeed is going to be planting down a Stargate on the other side of the map. Now what I quite like about this, okay, Zest already doing Zest things. He did start up the Warp Gate upgrade at the normal time, it seems. So this is one of those little mind games that Zest really likes to play, and all of the top-level Protoss players really do. Generally speaking, if you want to go for a Stargate opener as Protoss, you delay the Warp Gate research. This is something that the Overlord right now is looking at. It sees the little twisting and turning, the little pulsing right there inside of that Cybercore, so it knows that something is researching. Generally speaking, since a Stargate is 150 gas, and a Twilight Council or a Robo Facility are 100 gas each, and since that Warp Gate upgrade is 50 gas, I know math. Oh no, it's only Monday. Apparently we're diving deep right away. Anyways, it makes sense for the Protoss player to usually delay that upgrade, but obviously this is now a little bit trickier here. Zest slightly delaying the Stargate as well, but obviously since it's proxied, the Oracle that he's producing right now is gonna arrive nice and early. Generally speaking, Zerg players, if they suspect a Stargate opener, will go for Spore Crawlers right around right now, 335 or so. But I think at this point, Elazer's probably going to rely on Queens. Yeah, he's not actually started up anything just yet. Another Queen is coming up. Ooh, Zest is even saving up until he gets a second Oracle out. Already though, Zerg is patrolling back and forth right here at the third base. Stargate openers are super prevalent in the current meta of StarCraft 2, but most of the time it's because of Void Rays. Elazer should have probably already seen a Void Ray though at this point in the game, so I wonder what he's putting his opponent on right now. Okay, he did start up one Spore Crawler over at the third. No Spore Crawler inside of the main base. How many do we save up? Okay, it's just gonna be 2 Oracles here. I mean, just. Is he gonna go in the right direction? I think he is. If he goes straight into the main base, there's really not that much here available for these Oracles to be deflected. Only 2 Queens at this point in time. Obviously, that Stargate is, very expensive, and it likely won't live for very long. What are we doing right now? We're attacking a Gas Geyser as well. A little bit of misclicking here from Elazer, losing 10 drones in the process, and both of the Oracles will be able to fly on out of there. The Zerglings on the other side of the map, okay, do spot a couple of additional Adepts being warped in. Looks like we've actually had a couple of additional Adepts already going across the map as well. Are we just gonna go for a full-on Gateway all-in? There's no Twilight Council or anything along those lines at all. Yeah, so Zest is actually just gonna go for like an unupgraded Adept push, it seems. Oracles at this point out of energy, so these Adepts will end up going down. But they have 7 and 6 kills respectively, which is very nice. But it seems to me that Zest wants to follow this up right now with an all-in. There's a Void Ray coming up. I really think the Zerglings need to go towards the bottom left, or at least scout out roughly what's going on there. Those Oracles came out from somewhere, right? Like, they were definitely built from a Stargate. So... yeah, I guess he really is a little bit concerned about 2 more Adepts shading into the third base, because there are a couple of those units around the map at this point, but that is a lot of unupgraded units. Normally, when you make this many Adepts, it's with the Glaives upgrade, which is a straight-up, like, attack speed buff. Super powerful, of course. Very helpful. But at this point, Elazer was busy droning, and he's only capable of making Zerglings and maybe a couple of Roaches at this point. Now, obviously, if you get the right amount of numbers, right, if you get enough Adepts, you can still kill stuff. It's just that, like, the Glaives upgrade is extremely good. Adepts in general are a bit of a funny unit. They really don't attack very quickly at all by default. There's a lot of Zerglings over here. Is he gonna try and just kill the third? What are we doing? I guess he wants to, like, shade in, though, but he needs to make sure that these Zerglings are not gonna be able to get the full wrap around. Okay, now he might commit. I think he will. Yeah, that's gotta be a lot of dead drones. You blink twice and the whole mineral line is gone. Good pull, though, there from the Zerg player. What a strange opener here from Zest. Keep in mind, there's still no third base on the back of this, and Elazer is still at an economical advantage. So as long as he cleans up these units, he can just, like, make a bunch of units and then go to the other side of the map. Now we start up a Twilight Council and a Forge? Zest is doing zesty things, huh? Yeah, he's actually dealing a lot of damage to the third base. There's one Zealot, which deals way more DPS than an Adept. Yep, it helped out at the very least. Wasn't there a Void Ray somewhere as well? I thought there was a Void Ray. Did he cancel that one? I highly doubt that it... No, it died. Okay, I guess the Queens ended up picking it up. Anyways, right now it's a bit of a disaster. Yeah, you can... he's even targeting the Spore over here. The reason why Elazer is transfusing it is not because of the Oracles, but because of the fact that there's a good chance that there's a Dark Templar follow-up. Normally, when we see this many Adepts, since you need a Twilight Council, and in order to make a Dark Shrine, you also need to have a Twilight Council up. Usually they're followed, if you want to play aggressively, with only a 2-base opener. Yeah, usually that sort of build is followed up with Dark Templar, but this time around it's going to be Blink. So we saw how many Adepts go down. Yeah, 15 Adepts have gone down. Still 10 are left over, but he did not go for the Glaives upgrade. I guess it was just to hit a little bit sooner, and evidently it worked out. Zest at this point, though, finally going for that third Nexus of his. This is actually starting to become very important, because in like a minute or two, yeah, look at this, 65 minerals remaining on this mineral patch. These minerals are going to run out. The ones in the natural, since he took the natural so quickly, are also going to be running very low very quickly. And, yeah. While eventually the aggression in the bottom left-hand corner is going to be cleaned up, and there's not going to be any follow-up pressure here for at least a little bit. Zest did get himself a nice economical lead. Now, what exactly do you do here as Zerg? Okay, Elazer decides to drone up again. He's also retaken the third base, but, yeah, I'm liking this quite a bit. Now you can just kind of chill here if you're Zest, right? I mean, it's Zest, so he probably will get aggressive again, especially if he warps in 4 more sentries. What is this army, then? It's like an Immortal Sentry army minus the Immortals. Which, believe it or not, the reason why it's called Immortal Sentry is because the Immortals are a core part of that army composition. It's Stalker, Sentry, and a couple of unupgraded Adepts. Well, I guess Ground Weapons level 1 is going to finish up very soon. That's a scary little walk on over towards that base. Anyways... yeah, third base will be killed. Couple of very good force fields over here as well. This is... there's an hallucinated Colossus. Really, Zest. Really, mate. Alright. I guess that's one use of getting those sentries out. Yeah, the Zerglings over here not really dealing that much damage. They're gonna be cleaned up as well. Zest is just gonna be walking back home. I can't believe he made this big of a ground army without a robo facility. Yeah, there finally goes the robo facility, but that is... extremely late. This is what we've seen a lot, though, right? From Protoss players recently. If you've watched a bunch of the casts that I've done. Or maybe you watch other casters on YouTube, although I find that very hard to believe. Right? You wouldn't do that, right? Anyway. No, I'm just kidding. You can watch whatever. I give you permission. I know. Good guy, Lowko. No, but genuinely, we've seen... look at this, what we're doing right now. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff from Protoss players. it almost feels a little bit desperate. As in like, well, we can't play, you know, a normal game and win, so I guess we're gonna... we're gonna do crazy stuff. I gotta say, I like it. But at some point, what's the saying? The jig is up? At some point, I feel like these sort of build orders are just... Like, Cyril's not gonna die to something like this. What is this? Double hallucinated or a double hallucinated prism going into the main base, just forcing the Zerg to panic for a little bit. What's crazy is that pretty much all the Zerg players out there are struggling. I know I fanboy about Cyril quite a lot, even in games where he's not present. But seriously, like, a lot of Zerg players are struggling in Zerg versus Protoss. And then Cyril has literally, in the last year, roughly 90% win rate against Protoss at the pro level. Isn't that crazy? I just, like, whenever I see these sort of games where, like, look at this. This is an army without even charge being done. Charge is finally finishing up. The only reason we went for a Robo, I guess, is to get a Prism out and then maybe... what's it called? A couple of observers as well. Okay, finally we have the Zerg maybe catching a bit of a break, but I don't really think so. Fourth base here is... There's hallucinated Archons! God, I love hallucination. It's such a cool ability. We've only really seen it ever in, like, the last decade of StarCraft 2 with hallucinated Phoenixes. This is way too much Protoss, by the way. I mean, and the Zerg player is raining corrosive biles. Zest is trying his very best to eat as many of those to the face as possible, but will the Zerg player be able to hold on? He won't. No, he didn't. That, by the way, was me doing an impression of myself. Sometimes I look back to my own casts from a little while ago, and I look back at the way I commentate the final battles, and I realize, wait a second, that fight really wasn't even particularly close, and here I am shouting at the screen as if, like, it's the closest battle ever. That previous one we had just now was Zest being, like, I don't know, probably like 60 army supply up. Maybe a little less, maybe 40, but either way, obviously, whenever Protoss is army supply up, it's a good situation for them to be in. And when it's quite significant, even if it's only a bunch of gateway units. That was such a cool build, though, from Zest. What are we gonna do right here? Probe is already gone across the map again. A little bit later this time around, it seems. Yeah, even Elazer is like, I can take the natural? There's no way, though, that this is... So, I'm actually gonna go back to the very beginning of the game. So normally what you do is you send a probe across the map with the first return trip. Yeah. I guess he still sent it rather early here, but not early enough to be able to block a Zerg natural. Alright, so now we're back at the point where I originally went back. A little bit weird. If you're gonna be sending out an early probe, I feel like you want to send it early enough to be able to block the Zerg's natural. Just so a couple of the drones that they will make in the main base are gonna have to travel all the way on over towards the third base. And obviously things like oracles can deal a little bit more damage. Oh, okay. I was wondering why that probe already went down. I thought maybe building a Nexus would make a little bit more sense, but it was heading on over in that direction. He's added on a Forge at this point, too. Are you gonna cannon rush? Really, Zest? I was assuming Zest made a mistake, or like maybe he was sleeping on the job or alt-tabbed out to, like, I don't know, change his music or something along those lines, but that's not what's happening. Yeah. This is a delayed cannon rush, though. This is what we used to see quite a bit from Haas. Elazer just pulling a lot of workers to try and kill all of this. There's not enough space, though, to make like a gateway or anything along those lines. So as soon as that... Oh yeah, nice little bit of scooting over there as well. Okay, he does add on a second photon cannon too. I was thinking, right, like if you can't make a wall off over here, the drones are going to be able to kill most of this eventually. And that little nuke over here is really not that great. He's gonna try and, like, mineral walk, I guess. Yeah, and now he gets the full wraparound with the drones, too. Now, drones don't have a lot of DPS. But I think they might just have enough. Ooh, the creep! Aw, oh, man! Zest almost managed to lock those, Okay, he almost managed to lock those drones in there. Actually, can they? No, they can't go through there. Okay, he still managed to put the drones stuck there for at least a little bit. I guess there were enough Zerglings regardless, but the creep blocked the gateway from coming up. If those drones would have been on idle for like a half minute or so, and then you can cancel the gateway, maybe it would still be worthwhile. Right now, though, Zest is in a horrible spot. Still, on the other side of the map, we have a Stargate going up. This is a Stargate, just to clarify, before Nexus. Zest even gonna go... Okay, no, I thought for a second that he was gonna add on a Nexus here before making another pylon. I think he's gonna plant down a Nexus here. He's already cut a couple of workers. Hello. He started up a probe there despite the fact that he was already oversaturated. A little bit odd. Anyways, what do we have? We've got 2 adepts on the other side of the map. Zergling speed is nowhere to be seen just yet. So at least that's something. Oh, God. Zest. Really? Zest? He hits a huge supply block. So normally the reason why you only need 2 pylons is because the Nexus is done. And the Nexus also gives you a bunch of supply. This is incredibly sloppy here. So the Void Ray started up. Like from a world-class Protoss, it's sloppy. From a Gold League Protoss, I think this is sloppy. From a world-class Protoss, this is not very good. He started up the pylon as he started up the Void Ray, and he heard in the Korean voice actor, whatever he uses, the announcer. He probably uses the Loko announcer, right? Anyways, he probably doesn't. No, let's be real. He probably doesn't. Getting a drone on the other side of the map, though. Getting 4 drones here is actually crazy. You got 6 drones in total. Anyways, he heard that he was supply blocked, and then he started up a pylon. This is going to be extremely difficult to salvage. I think this is a prime example of a game where Zerg should go for a Queen Walk. Even though he's somehow, some way taking quite a bit of damage at home in the form of 6 drones, usually a Queen Walk is extremely good if Protoss is in a subpar position. Now, obviously, a Queen Walk only really works against the Protoss player who actually built a 3rd base. And as we saw in the previous game, Zest did build one eventually. But yeah, judging by what he's done so far. Okay, now we're gonna go for a Glaives all-in, like we expected in the first game. Although, I think the Adepts are probably gonna deal less damage this game with the Glaives upgrade than they did in the previous game, even though they weren't upgraded back then. So just to clarify, let me give you the exact number. Glaives Adept Liquipedia. It's a very substantial improvement. So the upgrade is called Resonating Glaives. Yeah, it's a straight up, I thought it was 40%, but it's a straight up 45% attack speed improvement for Adepts. +1 flyer attacks, really? There's the 3rd Nexus going down as well. I think this is, I thought going for a Queen Walk is a good idea, but I almost feel like Zest is setting up a bit of a trap here. No, I still think it's a good idea. Doing a Queen Walk into an Adept push like this after a Stargate opener definitely will still work out well. That being said, I mean, it's only a handful of Adepts at this point. Yeah, sure, he can warp in a couple. But the problem here is that there's no, proxy gateway on the other side of the map to warp in reinforcements. There's no Robo facility either, so no Warp Prism. I'm not exactly sure how Zest, he's been playing a lot of, he actually just killed all of the scouting workers. All of the spotting units for Zerg were just killed. So Zerg has no idea that these Adepts are moving across. Well, now he sees them. Okay, Queens were about to go to the other side of the map. I think Elazer wanted to go for a Queen March. There were a lot of roaches coming up. But I think those roaches are still going to be very useful. Void Ray ends up going down. Sloppy control right there by Zest. I guess he is ahead of the Queens with the Adepts, but the Zerg's units are, well, spawning out of the hatcheries, obviously. Okay. Very good defense right there for Elazer. Probably didn't expect he was going to be going up against this build order, because I don't think it really is a standard build whatsoever. Alright, anyways. So what do we do now? More Adepts. I love watching Zest games. They make no sense. If you try to play like Zest in your own games, I feel like it's gonna go horribly wrong. The only reason why it works so well for Zest and why the man has earned, I don't know, $500,000 of prize money, probably more actually, is because he knows very well what the Zerg player is doing, right? He knows the enemy very well and he understands the matchup at a very significant amount of depth, which is the reason why, these sort of strategies can still work out. Now, we've got 7 Queens just by themselves in the middle of the map. We have 2 groups of Adepts here as well. If Zerg wants to go for a Queen push, they will usually put all of their eggs in one basket and, have all of their units in one big group. Now, Elazer, though, already anticipating this, splitting up his units preemptively as well. At the same time, there is a group of Adepts going on over towards the 3rd, but while this is happening, Zerg also did march towards the other side of the map successfully. I think you don't want to go back, my man. No, you gotta keep marching. Yeah, you gotta keep going for the natural. Guess there's a little bit of multitasking going on right here, right? Because, well, there's fights happening at multiple angles. As long as these adepts are not fighting drones, though, which they're not, this is not a good situation here at all. I wouldn't have minded seeing a Dark Shrine follow up right now, but Zest, yeah, he's just, I don't know, rolling the dice. He's like, okay, what am I gonna do? I guess I'm gonna add on more gateways and fake my third base entirely. Probes are running away from the third too, so I guess he can recall those if he really wants to. Ravagers almost biting themselves. Still 11 drones have gone down. 13 drones. Yeah. This was still one good shade away from being an absolute disaster for Zerg. But at this point, I don't think it's very good. He starts a new Nexus at the 9 o'clock position. The Zerg and the Protoss are now next door neighbors, pretty much. This shouldn't work. But then again, it's, you know, it's worked before for Zest. Okay, no. So it's fine. I think Elazer realized that, wait a second, there were supposed to be probes out on the map. He doesn't find them. There were supposed to be probes out on the map because they weren't at the third base. Either they got recalled into the main base already, but that's kind of pointless because now there's, you know, 29 workers on minerals in the main base. Or, you know, good thinking right there by the Zerg. Or there's something off. Anyways. 3 sentries. They don't have a lot of energy anymore, though. Yeah, there's not enough force fields available here for our Protoss player. And I've got a feeling, even though the Queens are going to take about 3.5 minutes going up that ramp and getting into the main base of the Protoss player. Yeah, now with the production shut down, it is going to be an Elazer victory. And that brings us to Blackburn. The final map in his best-of-3 series. Zest seems to be playing like Florencio, but then at an extremely high level. So I just did a quick look. Currently, Zest is rank 9 in the world overall, whereas Elazer is the rank 19, according to Aligalek. I think that's, yeah, relatively accurate. Zest can win against anyone, though. And it's a lot of fun to watch. It's really cool. But I feel like he's always been, like, a pretty crazy player when it comes to, like, his strategies and stuff. But I feel like he's been stepping it up a notch over the last couple of months. Maybe I've just sort of missed that, that transition, but I've always... I don't know, he's played a lot of very normal games for a long time too, but so far in this series, at the very least, he's doing some crazy things. So, by the way, you can counter one of those cannon rushes that Zest just went for in the second game, just by planting down the third base first. I mean, obviously, you can still cannon rush the third as well, but at that point, Elazer can just send all of his units towards the other side of the map. You can obviously make a wall off over here, but it's not ideal. Like, one of the advantages usually of a cannon rush is that the Zerg is also semi-soft contained inside of their natural. I think you could go for a cannon rush to the third base, though, if you do a very low commitment one. Overlord is checking for exactly that. Just flying straight on over to the third base. If there would be a pylon going up in any of those locations, you're gonna have to commit with multiple pylons, multiple photon cannons, and at that point, I mean, Zerg could even just cancel it. You gotta keep in mind, right? That's one of the things that I've noticed in a lot of games that I've seen people submit to me. A cannon rush is, like, believe it or not, okay, Zerg players out there, a cannon rush is not free. Every pylon is 100 minerals, every photon cannon is 150. So as soon as Protoss plants down, like, 1 pylon and 2 photon cannons, they've already paid for pretty much the entire hatchery, right? So if you just cancel at that point and they couldn't cancel their structures, it's not a good situation for them to be in. And obviously, 2 photon cannons and a single pylon is, like, the absolute bare minimum that we see Protoss players go for. Generally speaking, it's quite a bit more as far as the structures go. Anyways, I still can't believe that that it was a relatively close game, all things considered. Zest going for that terrible cannon rush, not really getting anything done. And then hitting a huge supply block at 31 out of 31. Not ideal. Once again, it is going to be a Stargate opener. Inside of the main base, right next to the slowing zone, but if he sends units out that way, it should be more than okay. Alright. So, I think Zest is done playing around right now, though. He's tried his crazy... he tried his crazy build orders. Even almost, like, disrespected his opponent by going for a cannon rush. Because that's one of those builds that, like, I would lose to. But Elazer really shouldn't. Anyways. I can imagine we're gonna see a stock standard build right here from Zest. So, what is the stock standard build? Generally speaking, especially on Blackburn, it's double Stargate Void Ray. You can go for 1 Stargate Void Ray right now. can go for an Oracle as a follow-up if you want to. But basically, if you send this Void Ray on over towards the Void, or towards the Overlord, then you, escort a probe towards the third base as well. Plan down the third at like 350 or so. There's the Oracle as a follow-up. Overlord's gonna die. That's obviously the scouting Overlord, and I guess it's scouted by dying to a unit. What exactly is happening? Probe indeed is gonna head on over towards the third base location, and now it's an Oracle as a follow-up. It could be a follow-up as well into a ground-based army, but I do think that Stargate openers in general are very good on this map. Double Stargate openers, that is. You can go for a Robo Facility and a Twilight Council, and just tech down, I suppose. Okay. Anyways, Oracle is out. I'll keep an eye out on that Stargate to see what he's going for. Elazer, by the way, I mean, I feel like I've been putting a lot of emphasis so far on Zest, but that's because Elazer plays Elazer ways, right? He just plays what Zerg players, generally speaking, do. It's not too exciting, usually. At least early on. There's the second Stargate. There's another Void Ray. Okay. I'm expecting +1 flyer attacks then as well instead of that Cyber Core pretty soon. Zest already got the gases taken over at the fourth base. There it is. You saw the Zerglings at the perfect time as well. That was beautiful by Elazer. That's a little move, man. But, like, he got there with the Zerglings on top of that ramp as the +1 flyer attack started up. That's a big scout for Zerg, because seeing that +1... Like, seeing that the warp gates are done and seeing that there's, like, something pulsating inside of the Cyber Core means that they're going for air upgrades. And I like it. Yeah, good scout. Additional queens are starting up. There's the Void Race. Okay, so this is the kind of style that I think is a little bit boring. But it's also, you know, the best go-to approach for Protoss players, so... I mean, I can't blame him at all, right? You know, that Stargate army is very strong. Some people think I get, like, I don't like it. I mean, I don't like that it's such a good build order, but it's, yeah, there's no shame in playing whatever is the strongest, right? These guys are not playing for our entertainment. These guys are playing to win money. I don't know exactly how much money there was for DreamHack Last Chance. Let me see. What was the total prize pool for this tournament? $42,000. Yeah, so, you know, good chunk of cash. Ooh, we're going Phoenixes right now. Lovely. Gold base, by the way, acquired here. There it is. Nicely done by Zest. Gold base acquired here by our... ooh, I like this so much. Okay, so we're lifting up the queens, and then the Void Rays can finish the job. Yeah, eventually reinforcing queens are going to come up, but that was a really good start right there by our Protoss player. He's lost absolutely nothing so far, killing 2 queens. I actually thought he would kill a little bit more than that. But every single lift is very nice. And obviously the Phoenixes also do produce quite quickly. Generally speaking, though, the problem with Phoenixes is that they're well figured out. Like, Phoenixes are super good in smaller engagements with smaller armies. However, as soon as the armies grow and say, like, there's going to be 200 supply worth of Zerg, Zerg will probably just absolutely trash them. And it looks like a silly unit. Like, they're going to soak up a lot of army supply, and generally speaking, in the late game, they're... well, in the late game, they're no good at all, but if Zerg goes for, like, a big attack, it's very difficult to get much done. So that's probably also why we see 9 additional gateways coming up by Zest. Most of the time, Protosses have about 8 gateways at this point in the game. He's already got 2, so we're going 11 gateway charge +1, 12 gateway +1 ground weapons, and then also into charge. This is gonna be a very large army. I expected a normal game from Zest, and while the normal start was played, this transition is kind of crazy. Zerg has decided to go for a Spire right there. The Zerg Stargate, pretty much, right? Is he gonna dedicate... like, if he makes a lot of Corruptors here... could even go Mutos, but no, there's no way. He's gonna go Corruptors. If he spends too much supply on Corruptors, he's gonna absolutely get trashed. Yeah, good kill right over there as well, preventing the scout. He's gonna get absolutely trashed by a ground army. 12 Corruptors are going up. Elazer needs to make sure he does not make too many of those. I think 12 is fine. But if he makes more, those... I think it was 12 gateways, right? No, it's 11. Okay. Maybe I don't know. No, it is 12. One of them was still finishing up. It's gonna be Archon Zealot with apparently Stalker support. It's 18. I think this is too much. I'm pretty sure Zerk is not gonna make too much of a ground army here. All of the spotter units out on the map for the Protoss player, or for the Zerg player rather, were killed by the Protoss player. So once again, Elazer is notified of this attack as it hits the creep. That's a pretty bad scenario, and while he can easily counter the air army right now, how in the world is he gonna counter 12 gateways worth of production? Maybe he can kill the Prism. I feel like targeting the Prism here might be higher priority. Yeah, already though. Zealots are ravaging the mineral line over at the 3rd base. Corruptors are going across the map. There are 21 roaches coming up, so very stellar macro there by Elazer. At this point, sure, he's lost 20 drones, but that just evens up the work account. Okay, Corruptors are gonna go into the main base. I kind of dig it. Yeah, just puke on whatever you can. Big Stalker warp in over here, though. Trying to get some work done. One Zergling working over at the 4th base as well. The golden minerals for the Protoss player. Looks like the main base will be held. Corruptors, though, okay, are going to be able to take care of that main nexus. He decided to split up his units, maybe a little bit much. Right now, though, okay. The work account no longer is even. We've got Zest doing crazy stuff. Maybe he's feeling a little bit inspired by Florencio. There it is. Playing against a Protoss player who is doubling or even tripling your economy. It's not really viable, so Zest does end up winning this series. Well played. Very fun.